they have a pretty tough schedule.
Yes.
They lost 5 in a row going into the break, and we all kind of just went, nobody needed this break more than the Flyers. They've been going hard for 50 games. No one's played more than, I think there are 8 teams in the league that have played 50. No one's played more.
Yeah.
They've been going real hard. We know their style of play. We think some guys are probably a little banged up. They needed the rest. Tippett's coming back, all that. Florida's really fucking good.
They're real good.
I
did. So on allphly.com on Friday, we posted an all-city beat writer roundtable article with me, Mario from CHGO, Craig from PHNX, and Megan from DNVR. Sorry, I have to think out these call letters to make sure I'm saying it right.
I feel like
and
all the
spelling
call
it right.
letters make sense. Chicago's tough.
Yeah, Chicago is tough. You have to actually think about it. But in that piece, it closes out with our predictions as of now for the Cup final, and I have Florida as my East team.
You have them in the East. I just pushed.
Yeah.
I bet RG Tree and I last week both bet exact final Florida and Vancouver.
Okay,
that's for you, Vancouver.
Yeah, right. I have Florida. Dallas is mine.
Dallas is real good. I was looking at things and I was like, why? Like, Vancouver's odds aren't right in my, like, I don't know what they should be because I'm not an expert, but I feel like they should be more favored than they are. So let's go with this. And then I was like, well, let's get an exact final in there too and bet them in Florida. But Florida's really, really freaking good. I think they're the best team in the East. I believe that they are going to the Stanley Cup final for a second year in a row. After the 5-game losing streak, we had the week to kind of take a step back and go, where are they? Where are they going? And I need to see them like look really good out of the break.
Yes.
At least look closer to the team that won 5 in a row before they
100%.
lost 5 in a row.
Yeah.
I don't like. Could this start to turn into what we were seeing a little bit in that first month and a half of the season, where it was like, this is the perfect rebuild loss. They looked great and they lose 4-2. Like, I can really see like Winnipeg's coming up. They have like the best teams in the league basically on the schedule over the next few weeks. I'm starting to think that they're not going to make the playoffs for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm starting, and not even like I'm down on them and things are going to go poorly.
Faith.
I'm just
I
like,
know.
I'm starting to get a little.
I mean, it's going to be tough.
This is really tough, and they're going to trade guys. Like they keep telling us,
Yeah,
they're
not
gonna
hiding it.
like they are not hiding. Like the coach, forget the GM and the president being like, well, the big picture. Now, the coach who's like, we're going to try to win every game. Also, it's going to become increasingly harder because we're losing guys. And like it might not even just be like, okay, they lost to Scott Lawton, they lost to Mark Stahl, who doesn't play. Like, there's a chance higher end guys get traded than like a Morgan Frost, maybe a TK. We all believe Sean Walker is going. Yeah. You know, he's a top 4 defenseman. Like, is it time to start preparing ourselves? I know you've been prepared the whole time for them not to make the playoffs.
I'm just gonna stay quiet right now and let you guys.
But like, where are you with this whole thing, Kelly?
I mean, I'm just doing the Bill Matz buy the ticket, take the ride at this point. I mean, like, if we get a bunch of those Colorado games, those losses where you're like, you know what? They got Colorado.
Yeah,
like,
the difference tonight was the MVP of the league.
Yeah, but it's fine. I'm not going to be upset about that. That said, I'm very hopeful that they come out of this break with the kind of spark that we saw from them at the early part of the season, and they are able to do what they did to Dallas, which is like systematically dismantle a team that is worlds better than them, both on paper and on the ice, and somehow they still just mop the floor with them. I would like to see them do that maybe 1 or 2 out of 3 times that they play these tough teams, and I think it's possible. We've seen them do it more than once this season. It could happen. But if it doesn't, that's kind of like the best part about the season, I think, is that, yes, I'm rooting hard for them to make the playoffs, and I really want it to happen because I think it would be the most fun option. But if they don't, I'm not really going to be that upset, particularly if they don't in a way that looks good, if that makes sense.
Is this if they don't part 2, Charlie?
No, I to me, if you're asking me like what I think needs to happen for them to get going, because I've seen them play really good hockey for most of this first half, really up until these final 5 games.
And
these
two
last
and a
5 games.
half of the 5 were not that bad.
Yeah, exactly. To me, the big thing that really bit them at the end of this, run when they started losing, it was the fact that the big guys were down.
Yeah.
Like, looking at this, I mean, you've got Travis Konechny has 1 goal in his last 12 games.
That's not good enough.
He is
Not
the
great.
team's best player, definitely their most talented player in my mind. If he's not scoring, they're going to start losing, and they're going to keep losing. And I think Travis Konechny will bounce back. But the fact of the matter is he hasn't been playing, in my mind, anywhere near as good as he did. Or I think it's his last 11 because I might be counting the All-Star game. But in any case, he hasn't been scoring much. Then you go back and you look at guys like Travis Sanheim, guys like Sean Couturier. Now, Sean Couturier, in his defense, I do believe is banged up. However, you're talking about a guy who, during that 5-game...
He's the 1-6.
Yeah, during that 5-game losing streak, the Flyers were underwater by expected goals of 5-on-5, 47.99% with Couturier on the ice. By actual goals, 34.74%. So they're getting outchanced and outscored with Couturier on the ice. That's part of the reason why, and I said this on our post-game show after the Boston game, it's part of the reason why so many of the superstars were showing against the Flyers, because if Sean Couturier isn't there to be Sean Couturier, or he's only 70% of himself, then yeah, guys like Nathan McKinnon and Nikita Kucherov and Braden Point and David Pastrnak are going to tear you up. And they're playing a lot of those types of guys the rest of the way. So Couturier needs to get back to where he was the first 45 games of the season. And then Travis Sanheim really needs to get back to where he was, because
he was really struggling.
I mean, that's what happens when you're a team that doesn't have, like, the Flyers don't have the high-end talent, but what they did have was they had a few guys that were playing like the high-end talent. And then when those guys stop playing like the high-end talent, that's when the issues really start to pop up. I think it's possible that 1 or 2 or even all 3 of those guys could improve and could get back to where they were over the final 32 games, but they still have to do it, and they have to show me that they can do it.
We all silly like the mayor.